We live in a society that constantly rewards volume. If you look around a crowded boardroom or scroll through any social feed, the loudest people always seem to be the ones commanding the most attention and seizing the most power. But notice the person sitting quietly at the edge of the table. They are not disconnected or shy. They are silently gathering the one critical asset that the talkers are throwing away: leverage. When you are constantly speaking, your brain is entirely occupied with output. You create a biological barrier. You literally cannot process new information, read the room, or spot hidden opportunities while your own mouth is moving. Closing your mouth has nothing to do with social anxiety. It is the absolute required first step to acquiring actual wisdom, rather than simply adding to the room's noise. Consider the old story of an arrogant young scholar who traveled to meet a peaceful monk. The scholar demanded a debate to prove his superior intellect, aggressively listing all of his academic achievements without pausing for breath. The monk did not argue back. He simply placed a cup in front of the scholar and began pouring tea. He filled it to the brim, and then deliberately kept pouring, letting the hot liquid spill completely over the table. When the scholar finally stopped yelling to ask what he was doing, the monk offered a simple truth. The scholar was exactly like the cup. A mind already filled with its own noisy words has zero capacity to receive any new information. Emptying your cup in modern life means practicing active listening. It is the deliberate choice to process what others say, instead of just waiting for your turn to speak. This diagram illustrates the 3-second rule. When someone finishes speaking, intentionally count to 3 before you reply. During that brief pause, execute the echo practice. Instead of mentally drafting your own response, silently summarize their main points in your head. Actively suppressing the reflex to immediately jump in forces your brain out of output mode. It is the most reliable way to absorb the vital external data that everyone else is missing. Silence works in 2 directions. While keeping your mouth shut helps you absorb data, it is equally vital for protecting the personal plans you intend to execute. When we set a massive new goal, our instinct is to tell our friends. We crave that immediate social support. But acting on that urge triggers a dangerous psychological loop known as the talker's trap. This diagram shows your brain's response to sharing goals. Praise for discussing intentions tricks your brain into misinterpreting validation as achievement, triggering a dopamine reward without any work. Because you feel successful, this false satisfaction artificially drains the motivation needed to execute your actual plan. Worse, vocalizing unfinished plans exposes you to skeptics. You end up wasting your limited energy defending your ideas to detractors who actively want to drag you down. Speaking your ambitions aloud does not hold you accountable. It actively destroys the precise psychological drive required to cross the finish line. Compare that constant broadcasting to Thomas. He was a farmer with massive ambitions to build an agricultural empire, but he instituted one strict rule: secrecy. When neighbors asked why he worked such punishing hours on an empty plot of dirt, he never launched into a grand vision about his future wealth. He offered a polite smile, told them they would understand in time, and went right back to digging. Years passed. Slowly, and without a single boastful word, he acquired more land, optimized his crops, and eventually unveiled a highly profitable estate that left the entire village speechless. Thomas understood the math of success. Redirecting the energy you would normally burn on talking into pure, silent action is the only reliable engine for monumental growth. This brings us to the ultimate application of keeping your mouth shut. Silence acts as a long-term strategic defense against a loud, incredibly impatient world. Take the story of the wise minister's son. Every day, the king invited the boy into the royal court to mock him before the nobles. The king would offer the boy a choice between a heavy gold coin and a smaller silver one. Day after day, the boy deliberately picked the silver coin, cementing his public reputation as a complete fool while the court roared with laughter. He walked out of that castle looking like an idiot, but over several years, he was keeping a secret. He was quietly stockpiling an absolute fortune in silver back home. This diagram weighs the boy's strategy. Grabbing the gold coin once would prove his intelligence, but it would instantly end his profitable game. True intelligence doesn't care about looking smart today. It prioritizes long-term compounding results over the cheap thrill of short-term ego. Start applying this logic to your own life immediately. Ruthlessly withhold your goals and your grand visions from the public until you have built undeniable physical proof of your progress. We live in an ecosystem obsessed with constant noise and immediate feedback. But if you can master the discipline of quiet execution, your success will ultimately become your most unassailable voice.